Under the grey skies of a bitter winter morning, rural Vietnam lay engulfed in a bone-chilling cold. The forlorn winds swept across the fields, carrying with them the whispers of the land and the unsaid sorrows of Tu Diep. After the day she rejected James's affection, the man who had once pulled her from the shadows of her past, her heart felt as if it had plunged into an unnamed void. Yet, as the gentle morning light began to filter down, a truth slowly emerged within her. She loved him, even though self-doubt still clung to her like an invisible chain. Could that love overcome fate's barriers, or was it destined to vanish like a fleeting dream amidst harsh reality? In the small farm's early morning, Diep awoke earlier than usual. She stood by an old wooden window, gazing out at the vibrant vegetable garden just beginning to sprout, and felt an uncommon sense of peace rising within her. That peace was quickly disturbed, however, by thoughts of James. The man with a warm smile, who had once made her heart flutter. She realized that she had loved him not since yesterday, but for a long time, perhaps since the very moment he stood before her, shielding her from Peo's cruelty. Yet, as that sweet feeling seeped into her heart, a tide of insecurity surged up like a raging wave. Who am I to dare love him? I'm just a poor woman, abandoned by my husband, orphaned, unworthy of him, she whispered, her eyes dimming with the weight of tears she fought to hold back. Stepping outside, Diep wrapped her thin arms around herself to fend off the early chill. She bent down to look at Haki, the little dog wagging his tail at her feet, and managed a faint smile. "Haki, are you hungry?" she asked tenderly, as if speaking to a dear friend. Retrieving a bit of food from her modest kitchen, she set it on the ground and watched Haki devour it with bright, eager eyes. For a moment, her heart lightened, though the ache for James still pounded relentlessly at her soul. I turned him down, yet why does my heart still hurt so terribly, she wondered, her hand unconsciously clutching at her tattered shirt, as if trying to hold on to something solid amidst the turmoil of her emotions. Determined, she rose to begin her day with the familiar routines, cooking for Haki and tending to the garden. As the small stove's flame danced to life, she found herself imagining James's face in the flickering light. She recalled his deep, soothing voice and the patience with which he'd stood by her side during her darkest hours. But then the memory of her rejection the previous day cut through her like a sharp knife. I told him he shouldn't love me. But what will become of me if he truly leaves? The fear of losing him mingled with the terror of feeling unworthy, and she paused, forgetting even the bubbling porridge on the stove. Later, along the dusty path leading into the forest, Diep set off with her woven bag, intent on picking papayas to sell. This work not only earned her a meager living, but also offered a temporary escape from her swirling thoughts. Yet, as she paused beside a tall papaya tree, an unexpected figure appeared behind her, startling her. "Diep, where are you headed?" a familiar, friendly voice called out. Turning around, she recognized Huang, a childhood friend she hadn't seen in years. Huang stood there with bright, empathetic eyes, despite her visibly advanced pregnancy of 7 months that left her looking a bit weary. Diep mustered a smile, concealing the sadness inside. "Hi, are you out picking papayas too?" she asked gently. Huang nodded and settled on a nearby rock, her eyes never leaving Diep's. "It's been so long, hasn't it? 4 or 5 years, maybe?" Huang said in a warm, husky tone that seemed to beckon Diep back to the days of old. Diep nodded, a flicker of warmth igniting as memories of sharing dry bread under Mr. Kian's humble shelter came flooding back. "How have you been?" Huang continued, her gaze filled with sincere concern. Seating herself beside Huang and interlocking her fingers in search of comfort, Diep replied softly, "I'm all right," though her quavering voice betrayed hidden pain. Huang's heart ached as she saw the loneliness lingering in her friend's eyes. "She still carries that same solitude as before," Huang thought silently, unconsciously resting a supportive hand on her own belly as if to lend strength. "Where's your husband? Why are you working alone?" Diep tried to change the subject. With a sigh and a hint of sorrow in her eyes, Huang replied, "My husband passed away 3 months ago." Shocked, Diep's heart swelled with empathy. "I'm so sorry," she murmured, feeling as if Huang's grief was merging with her own. With a bittersweet smile, Huang waved her off. "It's okay. And you? What about you?" Diep looked down, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm divorced now. I'm staying at a friend's farm." Huang's eyes lit up at the mention of a friend. "I hear that friend is a chairman. Very wealthy, right?" she asked curiously. Diep nodded, her heart heavy at the thought of James. "It's him. He's very kind, but I'm just a divorced woman. I never felt worthy of his love, so I turned him down," she confessed, her voice trembling as if on the verge of tears. Hong looked at Diep with sorrow for the self-doubt that tormented her friend. She deserves to be loved more than anyone, Hong thought, squeezing Diep's hand gently. You deserve love, and you shouldn't lock yourself away in pain, she urged softly. James is a good man, rich and caring. Why did you refuse him? We only live once. Follow your heart and don't let gossip steal your happiness. Diep lifted her gaze, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Ung's words shone like a beam through the murk, yet the fear still clung to her like an unyielding shadow. Meanwhile, not far away on another farm, James was busy overseeing the harvest of sweet potatoes with Bin, a long-time business associate. Standing tall in his modest suit amidst the fields, his keen eyes observed every move of the workers. Trucks laden with sweet potatoes trundled along the red dirt roads, leaving deep tire marks while the laughter of laborers echoed in the vast open space. Yet, inside, James nursed a quiet sorrow that had settled since Diep rejected his love. She thinks she isn't worthy. But to me, she means everything, he mused, subconsciously clenching the pen in his jacket pocket, as if it were his only tether to calm amidst the storm of his emotions. He loved Diep not out of pity, but for the strength and innate kindness that had touched him in a way no one else ever had, even during his fleeting romances abroad. Guided by Bin, he strolled past the workers' rest area as Bin's steady voice recited details. This is a small farm, only about 10 hectares. Besides sweet potatoes, I also grow timber, cassava, turmeric, ginger, coffee. James nodded absently, his mind adrift and not fully present to the numbers Bin enumerated. He recalled the sorrowful look in Diep's eyes when she insisted he shouldn't love her, and his heart ached as if squeezed by an unseen force. What must I do to show her my sincerity, he wondered, his gaze momentarily hardening with resolve, even as a lingering fear told him he might be treading a path with no destination. Nearby, a young woman named Mai, Bin's new assistant, approached, clutching a small notebook. She looked up at James, her eyes a mix of curiosity and admiration at his composed demeanor. Sir, today we harvested 15 tons of sweet potatoes. The quality is excellent, Mai reported softly yet enthusiastically. James nodded and offered a faint smile. Thank you, that's good. But to him, those numbers could never fill the void Diep had left. Mai's heart went out to him as she scribbled down a few more notes, silently wishing he'd soon overcome his sorrow. She had heard Bin speak of Diep's hardships, and her admiration for the resilient woman only grew. When Bin proposed a contract at 550 million dong for the sweet potato farm, James agreed almost immediately in an even tone. Yet, to him, the business deal was merely an excuse to distract himself from the emptiness gnawing at his soul. He longed to see Diep, to stand before her and declare that he cared not for her past or her hardships, that to him she was the one woman worth pausing his hectic life for, but he feared that his persistence might only add pressure, pushing her further away. With a heavy sigh, he cast his gaze toward the forest where Diep was, his heart filled with a desperate desire to protect her from any more pain. Noticing James's far-off look, Mai spoke up gently. Sir, would you like to take a break? You seem a bit worn out. James turned and managed a strained smile. No, I'm fine, thank you, he replied, though inside he knew he was far from all right. He remembered Diep, to the point of madness, how her smile would light up when she petted Hucky, how her eyes would brighten every time he appeared. If she doesn't want me, what then? He silently wondered, tightening his grip on the pen until his knuckles went white. He didn't want to give up, yet he couldn't bear the thought of forcing her. His only wish was that one day, Diep would look into his eyes and truly see the depth of his love. Bin clapped a reassuring hand on James's shoulder, his voice low. What's wrong? You look lost. James shook his head, trying to mask his sorrow. It's nothing, just a bit tired. But Bin, seasoned by years of friendship, immediately sensed the truth. It must be about Diep, isn't it? Don't let your feelings disrupt your work, he advised with a trace of worry. James nodded silently, burdened by the weight of his heartache, knowing Bin was right even as his emotions refused to be tamed. Back at the rural market, Diep carefully displayed the papayas she'd just picked along a familiar street corner. With delicate, trembling hands she arranged each fruit on a faded cloth, selling them with a strained smile, as if masking a storm of sorrow within. Every papaya she cradled was a small beacon of hope, a testament to the independence she was trying so hard to forge. Yet when a middle-aged woman paused, her eyes curiously scanning the fruit display, Diep quickly called out, "Ma'am, I have a few papayas left. Would you like to take them?" Her voice carried a gentle plea, not merely to sell out her stock, but to muster the motivation needed to dispel the loneliness that was squeezing her heart. The woman nodded kindly and replied, "Sure, take them all," handing over 40,000 dong. Clutching the money in her hand, Diep felt a fleeting relief, but as the woman's figure melted away into the crowd, Diep's emptiness returned. No amount of money could fill the void that James had left in her soul. Just as she was about to pack up and leave, a man unexpectedly emerged from behind, holding a small gift bag wrapped in plain brown paper. "Hello," he greeted warmly amid the market's clamor. Startled, Diep looked up at him with cautious eyes. "Are you the man I helped the other day?" he asked. Nodding, the man smiled sincerely. "I'm Tong, a friend of James. I came to thank you for helping me when I fell in the forest." Extending the gift bag toward her, his eyes shone with deep gratitude. Tong's heart warmed as he recalled the story James had told him about Diep, about her resilience and kindness in the face of hardship. She really is a remarkable woman. James was right. She is special, he thought, feeling profound empathy as he pictured the years of suffering Diep had endured. "Please, accept this. It would make me very happy," he said in a soothing tone, meant to ease the sorrow he sensed in her eyes. With hesitant, trembling fingers, Diep finally accepted the gift, whispering, "Thank you." Tong sat beside her on a small wooden bench near the stalls, his gaze mixing curiosity with genuine concern. "James told me about you," he began in a soft, reflective tone. "He loves you dearly. Please cherish his love." Diep lowered her head, a mix of warmth and confusion stirring within her. Tong's words stirred feelings she had long buried deep. Does he really love me? But who am I to deserve that, he wondered, her hand clutching her tattered shirt as if to stifle the tears threatening to spill over. Seeing her inner turmoil, Tong's heart ached for her. "You don't realize how precious you are to James. I only hope you won't push happiness away," he thought silently, before standing up and leaving Diep to her tangled thoughts. As Tong's figure receded among the market stalls, Diep heard familiar footsteps from behind. She looked up, her heart skipping a beat as James approached, his tall silhouette standing out among the crowd. "James!" she called softly, her voice trembling like a final plea from a lost heart. He paused, his kind yet worried eyes meeting hers. "Don't be sad. If you love me, run to me. Don't let me misunderstand your feelings," he said, his words a bittersweet mix of pain and tenderness that struck her deeply. Standing there, his deep brown eyes full of sincerity yet shadowed by sorrow at the thought of losing her, James left as if his back could carry the weight of unspoken promises. Diep remained frozen, her heart pounding as if it might burst. She longed to run after him, to scream that she loved him, that her heart had belonged to him for so long, but her legs felt frozen, bound by insecurity and the painful memories of Pau's abuse. As James's figure gradually faded into the sunset, Diep clutched her face, tears streaming uncontrollably. "I love him, but do I have the courage to hold on to him? If he leaves forever, how will I go on?" she whispered, her pain tearing her apart. Yet buried deep within, a fragile spark of hope continued to glow, waiting for the day she'd find the strength to embrace the love within her. As the sunset descended upon the small farm, Diep stood silently watching James's retreating silhouette. Her heart kindled like a flame amid the cold night. But could that love truly blossom in the face of new challenges, or would a bitter gust from the past snuff it all out? The coming moments in episode 16 will reveal the power of the heart and unveil surprises no one could have foreseen.
Nhạc dần của một vùng nông thôn Việt Nam, nơi những cánh rừng xanh thẳm ôm lấy từng mái nhà đơn sơ. Tu Diep bắt đầu ngày mới với những bước chân chậm rãi nhưng đầy kiên định. Cuộc sống cô, một người phụ nữ từng bị gò bó trong đau khổ, giờ đây đã có chút ánh sáng nhờ sự xuất hiện của CEO James, người đàn ông giàu có với trái tim ấm áp. Nhưng khi tình yêu thương đã tưởng chừng đã chạm đến trái tim cô, một bóng đen từ quá khứ lại hiện về, kéo theo những nghi ngờ và nỗi sợ hãi. Liệu trái tim Diep có đủ dũng cảm để đón nhận hạnh phúc, hay cô mãi bị giam cầm trong chính những vết thương lòng không lành? Câu trả lời nằm trong những giờ khắc cảm xúc của tập 13 này. Chúc các bạn nghe truyện vui vẻ. Diep đứng giữa cánh rừng thưa, nơi những chiếc lá rong xanh mướt rủ xuống như những tấm rèm tự nhiên. Ánh nắng đầu ngày xuyên qua tán cây, chiếu lên